fans for Parrish and Jackie's RV10 project. Um, it's been a while since I've done a video, but I do have a good excuse this time. With the whole pandemic thing going on, Jackie's church has been out, and so I had to use my skills and expertise of doing these videos to help her do videos for the church. I'll put a link below to her channel where it's music stuff because she's an extremely talented musician. And yeah, if you guys want to check out a video or two, knock yourself out. Most of the edit work is my work. She does some of them, but I do a good chunk of them. And she's been learning, which has been awesome. Jackie's not the most computer technology person there is, but she's definitely had to learn with the whole pandemic. So anyway, I'd actually shot a video about the wings probably a month or two ago, and it just never got uploaded. And because I've been busy doing her stuff and or working on the airplane or doing other things, not flying. So here is a status update on the airplane now. The wings are done. They're actually going to go to the hangar probably here in the next 2 weeks. The only thing that we have left to do on the wings at this point is the wing tips, which are sitting up here. And you can see they're still hollow on the inside. I need to mount my light kits. And one of them gets an antenna put in it. And so there's nothing in either one of them right now. That's what these wires hanging out of the wings. This is for the nav 2 antenna. This is the connectors for the lights. This is the connector for the remote compass, and so I got to get all that mounted up. Anyway, but talking to Tim, you don't really want to do that until you're on. You don't want to do final placement of the wingtip until you have it ready to go on the airplane. So we're going to do kind of temporary with floating riv nuts, get a couple of them in, get the wingtips on it, just so that way they're kind of out of the way. And this is going to go to the hangar. And the tail cone is going to come back to the house here because we're going to need it shortly, as I'm going to show you here in a second. I don't know if you guys ever saw, there's the pitot tube installed, pitos installed, yada, yada, yada. No big deal there. All right. So, voila. So we have our fuselage. We're obviously making some pretty serious and significant progress. We'll come around to this side. Russ came over and helped me rivet a little bit this week. And we smashed the two sides together. So the front side and the back side are currently smashed together. Rivets are installed. These are just temporary bolts. Don't think I'm flying around with bolts hanging out the side of the airplane. No. So the wing eventually will slide into here and attaches with these holes that you see there. And yeah, those are just bolts that I bought at Lowe's just to keep it together while we're doing the whole build process. The actual bolts you don't want to use because they're a little expensive for the close tolerance bolts. And you don't want to install them once and take them back out and put them back in again. Or so I've been told. So, word to the wise future builders. Little hint here. So I'm working on page 28, something or another. It's the step where we're putting the gear mount in. Disregard the red. I'll come back to that here in a second. Why there's red. It's actually crayon. But why there's red crayon around my gear leg. So the kit, that hole is pre-cut when you get the airplane from Vans. Well, when you do the initial install of the gear leg that I did a couple of months ago, you don't do anything, that skin's not attached at that point in time, so it's not a big deal. Well, this page 28 has you stick the gear leg back on, put a couple of bolts into it just to make sure that it's going to stay in place, and then you put this shim, and here is my shim. Let me get it in the view. Okay, so here's the shim. So it's 1/8 thick aluminum, I think it is, that you drill these holes in. Okay, great. Well, I fought with this gear leg for a good 2 or 3 hours. I've heard some guys have fought as much as 10, so I consider myself lucky to only have to do 2 or 3. it kept interfering and the bolts would not seat properly because, so you have to get it installed and then you drill these two bolts, which are these two guys here. And you can see that the prime, we were pretty rough. I was pretty rough on the primer, getting all this installed yesterday and today. So we're definitely have to do a little touch-up primer. What this also tells me is that we hadn't scuffed. I don't remember if I scuffed this or Russ scuffed this, but it wasn't scuffed enough when I shot the primer, and so that's why it's flaking off so easy. It shouldn't flake off that easy. So that's what that's telling me, is it didn't have as good of adhesion. I'm not that worried about it because this gets a whole nother round of primer and paint installed on it, because this is the actual floorboard that I will be seeing when I'm flying the airplane. My feet will go right here. Anyway, the red, what's going on here? So I was trying to figure out where it was interfering. I had this stupid idea, and I don't know why I thought this would work, but if I took like a crayon and marked around it and then slid it into place and kind of wiggled it around a second, maybe the crayon would transfer over to the aluminum that it was rubbing up against. So that was my first attempt. That didn't work. So stupid, but what did work is I took my Permatex, which I use for sealants for fuel and stuff like that. And I pasted Permatex around it, stuck it in there, and then I was immediately able to see where my interference was, because obviously that Permatex transferred over quite nicely. Now I've got to get some MEK and get all the crayon off of this and get this cleaned up, but I digress. But that worked. This side gave me tons of fits. The other side, I put the gear handle, or put the gear mount in once. I didn't even have to use the Permatex. I sanded it, or cut away some material once, sanded it, boom, it was done. It was super easy compared to this side. This side, I about wanted to die. It was bad. So anyway, Tim, if you're watching this, I think I know why you had your issue. So Tim, when he did his airplane, this side channel here, when he ended up cutting his, the holes didn't line up. And as you can see there, those holes don't quite line up very well either. The edge clearance is a little tough. But I almost think that because it doesn't have you install that side skin when you are putting that channel on, that may have been why. I just happened to have noticed that a few minutes ago. So the stuff that I'm working on right now, it has you install the side skin temporarily, that you can see here, because these 4 holes down here, you have to match drill them to the side skin, because there's no holes there when you first get started. You drill through the side skin, through this side plate here. Here, let me come back around to the other side and I can show you a little bit better. So you go through the side skin, through the side plate, through the shim, and you create these 4 holes. These 4 holes were not here when I first started this morning. So, but it has you put the skin on. I noticed when you put the skin on, it pulls the firewall into position a little bit better. That may affect, Tim, I'll talk to you and see if that is really going to be the issue. Anyway, so it is kind of cool. The airplane's sitting up here like so. We've got that side scan actually kind of says, oh, this is kind of a cool airplane. Problem is this thing is getting heavy, A, big, B. So when, I might could pick it up right now, but I can pick it up and go higher with it, go lower with it, but I can't pick it up and like put it on the other table or carry it around. So I definitely need help doing stuff like that now. So definitely gained a few pounds. We call her Patricia, or I call her Patricia from, one of those shows. I can't remember the name of it. My kids used to watch it all the time. Fat Patricia. Anyway, so that's where we're at right now. I'm done. Basically, the only thing I got to do now is take the skin off on the other side, take the gear leg out, which that'll take a little bit, because getting these bolts that go into these holes here, and I looked online and everybody has a problem getting them in, so I'm not the only one. I got to get those out, get the floor pans back out, and then there's 2 nut plates that I have to mount underneath here. So we're going to try to get that knocked out here today. And so chapter 28 will be Done, in the books. This week this week I'm gonna be pretty busy doing some stuff in the office, but when I do get to come out here and work on the airplane, the wingtips, I'm hoping by next weekend to have the wingtips done, so we can, because I know Russ is going to be available quite a bit to help me get these things out to the hangar. So these will be going out to the hangar with the wingtips pseudo installed, and that's what we're looking at. So we appreciate you guys watching, and until next time.